Today I'm going to continue on my black truck. Remember the last video, we got the all the new fuel lines put on, the coolant lines, flushed the coolant, oil change, filter, fuel filters, coolant filters. Got it all greased, got the front end parts done, the front wheels are polished, the tanks are polished, all back together. We still had a problem with power. It was still low on power. I thought the rust problem was limited to this filter up here, plugging it up. Apparently, it still has a problem. I didn't have a way to pressure test the system to see how much pressure the pump is actually creating. So I ordered because I didn't have a copy check gauge, so I ordered one. We have it now. We're going to check that. Now I've also already checked the system for leaks, for air leaks or fluid leaks. I pressurized the tank, I pushed fuel all the way through here, and up until the pump, I don't have any leaks. So first thing we're going to do is check the pressure. Let's see what we got and make sure the pump is actually able to make pressure, because I think our problem is we don't have enough fuel delivered to the engine and we're running out of fuel. Because I can come to a stop, let it idle for a minute or two, and go to take off, and for a short amount of time I have good power, and then it kind of goes away. So let's see what we got for fuel pressure first. You can also do a vacuum, a suction test as to how much suction it has. I don't have that tester, so we're going to go with the pressure tester first because it was easier to come by. Let's see what we can find. Very difficult to see, but the pump is down here and there's a CompuCheck fitting on there, which is like a quick disconnect with a flat face. There we go. CompuCheck fitting is leaking. Come on, are you kidding me? Really? Well, maybe that's why. It's a pipe thread, and a little pooned up towel didn't put enough thread sealer on it. Look, there's nothing there. How many of these you think he had to do before he got his breakfast that day? Anyways, we'll put some thread sealer on it and see if we can stop it. Yeah, I'm putting extra, because I imagine these threads probably don't fit real well. So I don't buy junk tools, because this is what you end up with. You got to fix the tool so that you can use the tool, so that you can try and fix what you're trying to do. This was the quickest option. The other ones would have taken 3 or 4 more days, which I still may end up buying a good one, because this problem has come around more than once. Okay, we're on. Let's see if that'll do it. Well, that's not good. Truck idles about 800. Cranking, we should have had 25 psi once it started. We should have went to right around 120. We're sitting at 140 right now. We may have a restriction. Okay, so we know the pump has the ability to create pressure, okay? But we don't know if that pressure is actually making it to the engine, because it comes to this pump and it comes out of the pump and goes through the ECM cooler back through there, and then it comes up into the head. Goes in the head, feeds all the injectors, and then comes out for the return and goes to the back. So we want to make sure we have not only a good path out of the pump to the engine, through the ECM cooler up to the engine, but also a good path to return. Because if we have a regulator stuck and it's not letting it, or it's letting too much fuel go past, we could be returning too much that we need. I don't know. We need to know what's going on. So let's get First and foremost, we're going to take the line off the pump and to the ECM and see if we can blow through it and take it loose here and blow through the ECM cooler as well. Make sure there's no restrictions. This is so hard to see. I've got the line that comes out of the pump that goes to ECM off, and I've got an adapter in here to go from a JIC to a barb fitting. And I just got some hose into a water bottle because I want to see what kind of fuel flow we actually have during cranking. It shouldn't start, it might make a mess, it might not, but we're going to try. Go ahead. It's supplying fuel. I don't know if we got air, if that's just from being bounced around, but because it's not really coming up through the fuel. If we're just creating that because of the flow and the pressure. Let me empty that out, we'll do it again. All right, go ahead. Well, I'd kind of like to see some more fuel in that, but it did have fuel, and I don't see any air in there. I don't know, that's enough fuel for it to run off of, that's for sure. Alright, we're going to do this again because I think we should have more fuel than what we're getting cranking. And I got the battery charger on so we get good RPMs. We'll see how it works. Go ahead. Alright. Yeah, I think we should have more fuel than that. So at one time I had a problem with this truck where it didn't want to shut off. I turned the key off and it kept running. And these use a solenoid with a magnetic field that pulls a plate. And I'm wondering if we got a piece of rust back there, if maybe it's made its way through the pump. We have a restriction, because you'd think cranking that long, you'd think we'd get more fuel than that. I would think. I don't have a spec on this on what it should be. Just judging by others, I think it should be more than that.
Okay, we have the key on and we're pushing fuel through the system. Nothing yet. A little trickle, and then it stopped. Nothing.
No fuel?
There was a little trickle, and that was it.
Okay. So then, we're not getting fuel past the... I'm not getting fuel past there. Why? That's it?
Yeah, and a little bit of that was already in there.
Man. Wow. That's on the pressure side. And the key is on. With the key on, it should let fuel pass through. I'm going to crank it.
Okay. It's coming out now. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell, but yeah,
You got fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't want to overcome.
So it's able to suck fuel. I mean, yeah. All right, well, I guess we're going to have to look into the pump. Alright, so this is the plate, and the way this thing works is this solenoid right here pulls on this plunger, and this plunger allows fuel to flow. So what we want to know, if there's anything that's gritty, a bunch of grit in there. It tells me my rust is way up in here. So it pulls back and allows fuel to flow. What we need to know is if fuel can flow up through there now. That's been replaced at some points. It's red. That's after that. Not an original one, probably. They're common to go bad, that's for sure. I want to look inside that pump real good and see if I see anything bad. Well, I don't see anything terrible. Another problem could be that the solenoid's weak and it's not pulling hard enough on this to let the fuel flow. There is an ohms resistance that you can do on this to check them. If this is not strong enough to pull this back from where it's supposed to be, then you'd have restricted fuel flow. It may just be opening enough to send some fuel, but not far enough. And that's very possible, because one time I had a problem where this truck wouldn't shut off, like the ignition switch wouldn't shut power off to that, or it could have been that, or it could have been rust in the passage. Rust making it to where it couldn't return. I don't know, but let's see. 80 compared to 8. All right, so this is our one I just took off another truck, so I'm gonna clean this up. We're gonna give it a shot, because if this has a lot more resistance and it's not able to pull that plate out far enough, comes out of the pump into the ECM right down there on that fitting right there, comes out of it and goes into the head. So if there's no restrictions, we should be able to put air pressure. Now this system you just saw had 150 psi pressure of fuel, so 125 pounds of air is not going to hurt anything. So I'm going to run it through there and see if we can hear it gurgling. It stops immediately too, so that tells me it's free and clear. Go the other side and try it.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, this is the other side. Yeah.
Okay. So we have good flow either way. That tells us we have a good path from here all the way through back to the return. So our problem is not a restriction through here. It's either we're not able to suck up through here, or there's a problem with the pump. So I'm going to put this back together after we've blown that out, because we don't know if there was an obstruction and we blew it through. Hindsight, if I wanted to see what was going on, I should have blown through there while I had this line coming out of the ECM cooler off, and I could have saw what it was, and I wouldn't be shoving it through here into my injectors. So let's hope I didn't just screw myself, but I'm going to put it back together and see if we can get it started again and go from there. I'm starting to climb a hill here. I don't have enough power. Foot to the floor. I'm back in the shop, and as you saw as we were driving, we're making progress. Now we have 150 psi steady pressure, and that's definitely a step. Tells us a lot, tells us a little. Like now we have consistent fuel pressure, but the problem is the spec on this engine is 25 to 35 psi while it's cranking, and then at 1200 RPMs, it should be 120 psi, and at max load RPMs 150 to 180. Well, what we see here is cranking. Yes, we have the 25 to 35 and it fires up, but we don't have any variations. This thing goes right from 25 to 35 to 150 now, and it just stays there. At full load RPMs, we don't get 160, 170, 180. It just doesn't move. I've had others of these that go beyond that 180 and run really well. So my thoughts are at this point, we've had rust go through this entire pump. My fear, my thought process is that maybe rust has got into that pump, and pumps are, how do we explain that? So a gear pump is basically the fuel comes into a chamber, and then you have gears like this that mesh together. And when they mesh together, like this, it squeezes that fuel. When it squeezes the fuel, that's what creates pressure. So if you get rust into these fingers, these gears that come together like this, and you create voids, all right, so then all of a sudden it's like this. It doesn't squeeze, it doesn't make as much pressure. Or where these gears go up against the back of a plate, and they work against this as their chamber. If you get grooves in here, then what happens is all that pressure that was supposed to be going through the gears now goes around the gears through the grooves in the plate. So it could be the fact that we have a damaged pump because we had rust go through the entire pump and as far as the output. If that's the case, then maybe we can't achieve 180 psi. Or is it that the rust made it through that point on the output? Because these pumps can vary pressure by RPM, but there's a pressure regulator inside there that regulates just how much is delivered to the engine. So at lower RPM, low load, you have very little fuel going to the engine, a lot going to the return. As it increases, that pressure regulator has all that max fuel coming to it, and it has a port inside there that opens and closes. So as the demand comes up, the port that returns that fuel closes. So you're delivering more fuel to the engine and less to the return. We had rust go through there. If rust gets inside this thing and allows it to where it cannot move, the regulator can't open and close that passage, it could be just stuck at 150 psi, which is, as you saw when we first started it, we had 25 to 35 psi cranking, but as soon as it fired up, it's at 150 and didn't vary. Most times on these, when you vary the RPMs, you watch that psi on a pressure gauge increase and decrease with RPMs. Not the case with this. We're supposed to be 150 psi to 180 psi at max load, and at 1200 RPMs, we're supposed to be about 120 psi. And at idle, we're 150. As soon as it fires up, it's 150, stays there, and that's all we get. So before I go any farther, I'm going to order up a new pump, because if it isn't failed now, after running that rust through it, the likeness, it'll fail. And probably when I have something hooked to the back of it, that likeness is too great. So I'm going to go to Area Diesel Services, and I'm going to get a pump from them. Those guys do injection pumps. They do these fuel pumps. They do P pumps, rotary pumps, all your Bosch stuff. I think they even do CP3 stuff. They do turbos, injectors, all that. So I'm going to order it up from them. Once we get it, we're going to put it in, because it's important to remember that this truck ran and drove great. It didn't have any problems until, we found the rust. When it's driving, I never hear the turbo. So it doesn't matter what load you put it in, what RPMs, what speed, nothing. You never hear the turbo spool. That tells me we are not getting enough fuel to the engine, because you're not getting enough fuel, you're not getting enough air, or your exhaust is restricted. I've checked the inlet, the outlet, it's good. I believe we're in the fuel. We're not getting enough fuel to this thing. And when you're driving down the road, never see a check engine light come on, nothing. So I think we have a supply problem that it just can't get it. So I'm going to order that up. Once we get it, we'll swap it out, and fingers crossed, it either fixes a problem, or at the very least, we know that's not the problem now. So once we get it, we'll bring you guys back. Sorry this is such a long, drawn-out thing for what should be a simple problem, but I'm going to bring you through the whole thing as I went through it. So when I do find the problem, if you run into it, you have an idea. Or maybe you run into the same problem on something different, but maybe some of this that I went through might say, oh yeah, well, maybe we should look at that, or I don't know, maybe it'll help somebody. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.